So in your day-to-day life, do you get the odd phone call suggesting to you that if you do that again, we'll be waiting for you in a darkened alley? Do you have that, or nobody cares what you do? They say, "Ah,
No,
watch and delay."
no, fortunately, I don't, get all that. I think I must be thankful to my editors. I think they suffer the brunt of that from politicians and other quarters, who always complain about my drawings. And so I'm somehow insulated, and the first line of defense is always editors, and they are the ones criticized and receive phone calls, and they have to defend me and say, oh, they have to explain things to politicians and others, and for that I'm always grateful, because I don't think I would handle politicians.
As
I
an
mean,
individual, you don't feel any personal fear. Your wife, you've got family, you've got a wife, you've got children.
yeah, I got
Do
two
they not
daughters.
urge you to go slow?
No, they are concerned at times, and I've gotten also, to be honest, I've received personal threats also. I mean, in terms of emails and faxes and all that. It's not that I haven't received that, but I think Kenya has moved on. I think it's Kenya is great in many ways. I think we've seen. Improvement in the area of freedom of expression in the last 10 years, and I don't think anybody would take that away, despite the many challenges we have, and that has kept me going in many ways.
So again, as a satirist, as a commentator, you're looking at a word like corruption, and you know that it's the adjective is always it's endemic corruption. You're expressing yourself, but whatever it is that we're fighting against has remained almost static. It's sort of the same levels. The statistic is given that the level of corruption in Kenya, all the bribes paid out, would employ 250,000 people at a basic wage.
Mm.
That seems to me like a huge sum. Do you just say keep on? What is the sort of messianic thing for you as a cartoonist? Keep on condemning and things will change.
Yeah, it's a tough job. I mean, look, I'm only an editorial cartoonist, and I can only do so much. I suppose one of the thing I would love to see is always to see changes in the things that we condemn. There are always new challenges, but yes, I would be more than happy if I do a drawing about corruption and the next day I see people actually being prosecuted. But well, that's a tough call. I don't think that would happen, and it is frustrating sometimes. But well, as an editorial cartoonist, I think I'll keep doing what I do best, which is to point out, which is to criticize and about all the ills that I see
Would
in
you be would Gado, would you be accused in these political times? Let's take a society like America, where you have the Republicans and the Democrats. They're two sort of very clear-cut political leanings.
exactly.
Would you take the accusation that amongst the political players on the ground now, Gado is against a certain grouping, and we know in some measure the way you're going to vote?
It's interesting. Actually, that has happened a
If you were
lot.
to
Actually, that has happened a lot. I mean, I've been accused of supporting all sorts of candidates, by the way. Today, people would see I've done, when I do a drawing, attacking, for example, Raila Odinga. I mean, you have his supporters are all over the place condemning me for what I've done. When I do that with Uhuru Kenyatta, is still the same, that has happened many times. But I think I've always remained partisan, non-partisan. I think I've always, in Kenya and many other African countries where you don't have ideological lines, it's very difficult to support one particular candidate. And so, as an editorial cartoonist here, what I've done is to stick to issues, to challenge the candidates as they are, and what they stand for.
So and perhaps an unkind question. If somebody said, "Here he is, doing these cartoons. He's lived in Kenya for 20 years, but in Tanzania, why doesn't he go across the border and draw cartoons about his own people?" Response?
Well,
You'd say,
we have the East African community. I mean, by the way, it never died.
Yes.
So I think if somebody says that, I would say, I can still there are many Kenyans working in Tanzania, they are welcome to work there, and we should allow as many Tanzanians to work in Kenya. And I'm very much a Kenyan in many ways. I mean, after working and living here for many years. And
would you, quote unquote, get away with what you do here in Tanzania? Are the community countries at the same level?
If you had a newspaper like Daily Nation in Tanzania, yes. Unfortunately, Tanzania doesn't have a paper like Daily Nation, a paper of such caliber, and that makes it very difficult for anybody probably to operate the way I operate. But if Daily Nation, were to operate in Tanzania, yes, I would get away with what I do here.
So you're trying to suggest that going in tandem with this opening out of minds must be institutions that are for freedom of expression.
Very much so. Very much so.
Such as a vibrant television community.
Yeah. In fact, I do. I comment on East African issues on the East African every week. Right. I do one drawing based on East African issues, and I'm a true believer and supporter of the federation.
Gado, you're a father of two daughters. And here you are, social commenting away, editorializing on a daily basis. On this whole issue of the society that we're creating, this freedom that you give, does it run to your allowing your daughters to use any kind of language, to be dressing in any, let us quote, an Occidental sort of way? Are you that liberal a dad? To ask you a personal question, which you need not answer.
No, I'm a liberal as a human being, but I'm a conservative as a dad, and an 80-year-old girl and a 6-year-old girl, and I'm actually learning the ropes of being a dad, and it's a very tough job, far more than an editorial cartoonist. I think as a dad, I try as much as I can to be fair, but also strict with my kids, to bring them to understand the reality of the world today. But I also always like to separate that with what I do, and as a satirist and a commentator, because somebody has to do it.
Instilling certain values that might, for want of a better word, be African values. Is there such a thing?
I try to work as hard as a dad to instill those values. I think history and society will have to judge me on that when they grow up.
But I was just saying, wouldn't you sort of go the Chinese way and sort of block their certain things from influences to them? You're still saying, even with the bombardment of all these things, all these outside influences, you're saying, let them come in. Somehow, the values I've instilled will survive.
Yes, I believe that parents should play a more involving role in the upbringing. I don't think that we can shield our kids from all that is coming. I think you can do with age. You can shield certain things, but obviously, with time they would get exposed to, they will get in contact with certain things and values, right. And it's up to you as a parent to be aware of that and also to let them know. I don't think blocking or shielding your kids from seeing certain programs or certain not reading certain books or will necessarily make them angels or would instill values in them. I think instilling values in kids has a lot more to do with a lot of other things. It has a lot of you spending time with them. It has a lot of you of knowing that you are a hard-working human being. It has a lot to do with them understanding that they have to study hard. They have to also respect others. They have to be kind and mindful of others. I mean, these are values which are universal in many ways. They are not actually Africans. Right. And so I think if, as a parent, that's what I try to do.
We do hope that you'll have at least a minute or two to relax and to enjoy the festive season. Thank you very much, Gado.
Thank you very much, John.